So, recently, something completely unexpected happened. Grid got an update. As unbelievable as it sounds, we actually got a really huge balance patch for Grid. So, I thought it would be a great idea to go over each change made to the game, be it big or small. But before we get into balance changes, we should talk about changes made to the overall game. You'll probably notice the camera has been adjusted, and it is to give high altitude characters more headroom and widen the field of view. I mean, even a blind man can tell you something is different here. You can also probably notice a different level of gravity when you play as well. This actually does have a pretty big effect on gameplay, and some combos will have different timing. And I can't go over every single difference because there's too many and I'd probably miss some. But you could probably tell for yourself when you boot up the game. Megazord's also received a few changes, with all Zords receiving a huge nerf. And this nerf is the fact that they no longer deal unscaled damage. Gone are the tried and true mash hard knockdown into OTG call. Now for max damage, players will have to perform more setups to deal more damage. Or, you know, just not rely on Zord to carry you, that's also an option. Dinozord's heavy call has an increased startup time. This will affect some combos, but to be honest, with Billy remaining untouched, this Zord is still top tier. Gravezord got its long coveted buff, actually having a load that wasn't completely useless. On top of that, its heavy call actually does things without you having to work your ass off to set it up, so expect to see this Zord used a bit more. SPD received its long anticipated nerf, the removal of SPD unblockable. Kinda, because you can definitely still set it up. It's just now that it doesn't give your next character the status on spawn if the first character has it. You know, we're moving in the right direction at least, right? But, well, let's be honest, who cares about SPD? The Zord we're all excited for is the blessed Samurai Zord. After numerous requests, our prayers were answered, and Sam Zord counter is no longer a complete joke. It's an actual counter. And that's all that was changed, and then nothing else. What do you mean light call has more damage, heavy call the first hit OTGs? No. Sam Zord counter was buffed, and that's all that matters. Nothing else is necessary. With that little soliloquy out of the way, let's start talking about character changes. Now, before we get into specific character changes, a lot of characters had their jump height gravity changed, like specifically, which includes Jason, Kimberly, Magna, Trini, Trey, and Dog. Now, to get into more specific character changes, we'll start with Tommy Oliver, or as many people probably know him, the Green Ranger. Tommy actually has a good amount of changes. A lot of his moves got damage increases, which include his 5L, 5LL, 5M, 5H, 5HH, 2L, 2H, JL, JH, and his super. His 6M also got a damage buff, plus now it causes a wall bounce on hit, and it's also car cancelable along with 4M. His 4S actually got a damage nerf, but to compensate for this, the move comes out 10 frames quicker and has armor on it. 6S got a few changes associated with it as well, including having a bigger cancel window off of back throw, as well as having a bigger cancel window into JS. Speaking of JS, his hitbox has gotten slightly bigger. That's all there is for Tommy Oliver. The character has actually changed quite a lot since last patch, so it might be some time before we can tell what exactly helped him and hurt him, but overall it does look pretty good. Now let's get into the character that I was most excited for, Jason Lee Scott. Well, I'm sure many people wanted our boy Red to get some mix. He was unfortunately not given any. However, what he got was arguably just as good. First of all, Jason's juggle limiter inflation has lowered across the board, meaning he can get away with much longer combos before reaching his limit. 5mm got buffed, decreasing the recovery when successfully landing it. 2H gained increased launch height, JL and M were tweaked a little bit, 5S got radically buffed, being so much quicker, and the counter frames activate on frame 10. But what was it before? Frame 28! Like, yikes, talk about a bad move. 4S is now much quicker. JS got more damage and a bigger hitbox. EX was completely reworked, being a two-parter like most of the Season 3 characters' EXs. It might not seem like much, but the first portion restands the opponent, which opens up a lot more combo routes. And the second part will OTG as well, so if you want to EX a second time and get the full hit, that works just fine. Both of Red's throws also got massively overhauled. You remember grabbing the opponent and just thinking, if only? Now, Red's forward throw causes a wall bounce, giving you a full combo, and his back throw launches, also giving you a combo. With all these changes, Red actually becomes a threat and not a laughingstock, so I would say Red won a lot from this patch. Ranger Slayer also went through a lot of changes, and arguably has the most noticeable change in this patch, gaining a completely new move. Slayer's arrows now have new combo routes as long as you do different moves back to back. These are her medium moves, so these include 5M, 4M, and 6M. There are a few combinations to experiment with, giving her far more versatility. 5M can now be cancelled into 2M, 5L and 5LL can be cancelled into her crouching attacks. 2L can actually be mashed now. Arrows have increased durability compared to those weak little toy arrows from last patch. Like, seriously, those are pathetic. 5M also got reduced hit stun and can be cancelled out of easier. 2M now OTGs and causes sliding knockdown. This is complemented by her new forward throw buff, which causes hard knockdown, letting you get a follow-up afterwards. JL comes out 2 frames quicker, and probably her most notable change, her 6SH is a completely different move. It was initially an arrow shot behind her, which, listen, I don't play Ranger Slayer, I haven't played many Ranger Slayers, but this move looks like ass. Now it is this aerial kick, which causes a spinning knockdown and a wall bounce when knocked, which is infinitely more useful, it seems. She can also act quicker out of a dash, and these buffs overall might actually increase the amount of Ranger players out there online. I don't know if you've actually played Grid Online outside of casual. How many Ranger Slayers do you see? Like 2 a year? Hopefully we could change that, right? Magna got an increased jump dash, as well as being able to act quicker out of dash, similar to Ranger Slayer. His 2H now ground bounces, comes out quicker, and moves much farther. It also seems to be a bit less safe. 5S is now quicker, longer ranged, and more powerful. 6S got an animation tweak and is now far more reliable. JS is more active and hits behind him now. It will also ground bounce regardless of whether you have already used one in the combo. All in all, Magna received a lot of buffs that should help him in the long run. However, I'm not sure whether the increased jump dash height is a buff or a nerf yet. And of course, everyone's favorite bad zoner was hit with some buffs to help her out. 2H's OTG doesn't launch the opponent far away, which does her a huge solid. 6S is much quicker and more consistent. JS got a huge change with the last hit causing a ground bounce because the devs wanted Udonna to actually be annoying with things other than her EX. It's not all great news for Udonna players though. Her 4S got hit with a hard nerf and it isn't as active as long, but that really doesn't change the fact that this is a huge win for Udonna. I don't think this hurts her much at all, to be honest with you. Now, I'm sure everyone was waiting for this moment, and here it is. Let's get to the worst character in the game, Trini. Like Red, Trini's juggle limit inflation got reduced, allowing for far longer combos. Arguably her best change, Trini's 5M now OTGs, finally letting her get some actual combos off of an OTG that isn't just 5S inches super, right? 5HH has more forward movement, JL got a bit bigger and a more active hitbox. Jam is now quicker and far more active. JS launches the opponent much higher. Trini's assist actually got a buff, being quicker, making it far more oppressive. You jump higher off of a launcher. And her EX was actually nerfed to be a little bit slower. But despite that last change, I think we can all agree Trini finally got more rewarding to play and isn't just a completely useless trash can. Hopefully, with these buffs, she won't be bottom 1. Speaking of bottom, let's talk about Trey of Triforia. XIII actually got less recovery, which helps. I mean, minus 12 is just so sad. 5M became quicker and it has a better hitbox attached to it. JM and JH actually have longer lasting hitboxes, so they aren't completely useless as laning aerials. 6S is now projectile invincible on frame 3 and will nullify projectiles if it's done early enough. Trey also got some more gold rush maneuvers or something, I don't know what to call them, but he has them, right? JS can be done a little bit earlier, and last but not least, Trey's dash was increased. Which, to be honest, wasn't that necessary, as dash was already quite impressive, especially with what you could do with it. But overall, the quality of life changes, I think, definitely helped Trey. I'm just not sure how much they actually do for him. Now, for years, a dedicated group of grid players known as dog mains consistently, constantly requested one simple thing: buff dog. And today, those prayers were answered with, well, I guess if that's what you want, man. 5S and JS now go full screen, making Dog the zoner he was always meant to be. So yes, Dog now has a full screen overhead. No, I don't know why. JS also is much more safe. JH got an interesting change. I think we'll leave it at that. 5S can be dash cancelled out of earlier. 4S got an ungodly speed buff. Like, this does not look right at all to my eyes. 6S also got a more active parry window, but to be honest, I don't know if any dog's gonna consider using this move more. Overall, it's great. As a dog main, I approve. Now, the next character, Dai Shi, while not as highly protested for like Dog, got some well-deserved changes as well. 5S is much faster overall, like seriously, this is such a huge difference. 6S also got much quicker, and the medium follow-up causes Dai Shi to fall as soon as it activates, making it so much more oppressive. EX is also completely invincible until its first hit. Kind of. Overall, some great changes to a slightly under-average character. RJ also got a lot of changes after he was nerfed and people just stopped playing him. Starting with 2M, RJ can now 2M into 5S with the increased hit stun it has been given. Forward and back throw got a damage buff, and forward throw can now be cancelled into 6S. 6S itself is much quicker, goes far lower, and also is able to be cancelled into aerials far earlier, making it pretty incredible now. 5M now adds less to the juggle limit. 5S and its 6S follow-up do more damage. 5S 6S now acts as an anti-air on its way up, being invincible to aerial attacks and being air unblockable. And finally, Super does more damage. After being nerfed decently hard last patch, this puts RJ in a far better place than where he was last patch, which is much appreciated. Adam, after being complained about non-stop, has finally received some nerfs. For one, Adam now has 900 HP instead of 950, same as Chun, tying for the lowest HP in the game. 5H does less damage and gives less meter. 5HH's first hit now has less hit stun, so you can't super out of it into 5L anymore to my knowledge. 5HH, however, does do more damage. 2HH's first hit does less hit stun, but I can't tell what that really changes since it's a multi-hit. So if anyone actually knows, just let me know in the comments. Maybe I'm reading this wrong, but I don't know. 4SM can now no longer be teleported out of if it's whiffed or blocked, requiring an actual hit to be cancelled into. Why wasn't this a thing before? 4SH is also far more punishable. Believe me, the Adam nerfs are much appreciated. He still seems decently good, right? And that's fine. It was just some of that stuff really needed to go. But this character probably just took his place as the most hated character in Grid. Take a look at Poisandra's changes. Poisandra's 5HH 6H can now lead into 5L, and her JH and JS have less range, but none of that actually matters because 5S4S is now an overhead and it instantly locks onto you. If you don't see the problem with that, let's just hope you don't run into them, alright? Like, seriously, I just really hope you don't run into this character now. That's all the big changes for characters. Chun's blocked EX being able to cancel into Zord and Rita's swap glitch were completely removed, which I'm sure absolutely no one is complaining about. Overall, I'm just really happy that the Grid team are still working on this game. The new, I guess to so to say, environment of the game might take some getting used to, but I think most of the balance changes are for the best. Personally, I've been having a ton of fun trying out the new red routes. I'm honestly just so happy he got buffed. I hope this video helps you understand all the changes for the June 2nd patch notes. Hopefully I can finish a few projects I've been working on and actually upload them. Anyway, that's going to be all for today. I gotta go try and find my wife now, so see ya.